Your Honor, if you could share your experience of, do you work with interpreters frequently?
We do more and more frequently as our population changes and litigants become more multicultural, and many need the assistance of interpreters.
Do you find interpreters to be helpful? Do you find them to be a hindrance? What is your...
Most helpful. Obviously, we couldn't conduct our business without the ability to communicate with the litigants in a clear way. And working with interpreters who understand that they are to be neutral, and they're actually working for the court, they're not working for either party, and making sure they understand they have to present themselves in that way and maintain that sense of neutrality at all times.
Has the interpreters been in court as long as you've been involved in the legal system?
I've been a judge for just about 26 years now, and yes, they have, but obviously more and more frequently as time goes on, based upon a number of things. One, the courts have really become aware of the need for interpreters, and two, have really perfected a system to use and to obtain the services of certified interpreters.
Are there some things you wish were done differently or better versus the way they are done currently?
No, I think that if an interpreter understands their role as someone who's neutral and attached to the court, they can avoid any of the problems. The two things I would comment on, one is often we'll see a witness who might want to converse with the interpreter and ask an aside question, not directed to respond to a question that's asked or in testimony form. I think that needs to be clearly stated, and the interpreter needs to clearly distinguish and translate or interpret what's said by the person in the aside, so everyone knows. No one feels as if there's a little private conversation going on over here between the interpreter. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I'll say is we've had experiences in the past where there have been challenges to what has been interpreted by the interpreter. And I think what people need to remember is to stop immediately when that happens, because if we move down the road past that, it's very hard to reconstruct and to deal with the issue, and everyone needs to know that we need to stop. I've had cases where attorneys have had experiences with interpreters whom, while the attorney might speak the language, for example, and this is most often where this arises, where an attorney speaks the language and they want to challenge what was interpreted. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I've got a couple cases where people have bad relationships between attorneys and interpreters. And knowing that ahead of time really helps a judge try to deal with the situation and making sure that things go well for both parties if that's the case. So if there is a challenge, making sure we stop and we clear up whatever the problem is before we move on down the road.
Great. Anything else that you would like to add that you wish people who, professional interpreters, if you were speaking to a group of professional interpreters, anything that you would want them to know?
I would want them to know that we're all very grateful for what they do, because they never have a chance other than to sign a piece of paper, usually in the middle of something, to say thank you for taking on that responsibility. It's vital for the court system. It's vital for litigants to have access to the system, and thank you for taking on this role.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your help.
All right.
Thank you.